Welcome to another episode of Between Our Sheets. I'm Kevin,
I'm Sasha.
and today, guys, we're getting vulnerable. Let's go.
When the night falls and the lights are low, it's time to dive deep where the secrets flow. With Kevin and Sasha, things get sweet, so come on in, let's meet between our sheets. Between our sheets.
On this episode of Between Our Sheets, like I said, we're going to get a little vulnerable. We're going to talk about when we, as individuals, kind of found ourselves and what took place in our life to make us realize who we were going to be and what we were going to do with our life.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to see what you think first. You want to go first? You want me to kind of tell my story, or
I'll let you go first.
you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, honestly, I learned pretty young that I was going to be something different. I knew I wasn't going to be the typical person that, wants to work the 9-to-5 job. Not saying a lot of people want to work 9-to-5 job, but I think that a lot of people get stuck working the 9-to-5 job because they don't put the effort in to follow their dream, or they have been told by too many people that dreams can't become a reality and you have to kind of just go with what you have to do, I guess, to survive. So for me, it was, I don't know, I think about 4 or 5 years old, I started performing. Like I would do things at home. I would put on and write little plays and do it in front of my family.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And in an elementary school, I had solos. I had, I would have little parts in plays. Actually, James, my best friend since we were 3 years old, him and I actually had solos together in elementary, and I was always infatuated by movies, and I was like, you know what? That's what I want to do. I want to entertain. I wanted to be in movies. I wanted to be on TV, and ultimately I found podcasting, but I still have high hopes that one day I'll be on TV.
Yeah.
I think for me, I just didn't have the parental guidance to do a lot of things in life. So I counted on my friends a lot, and I could talk more about this, but I kind of want to hear, let's just kind of start with what we, like the beginning of our story, and then we can continue on. That way it's just not all, half me, half you. So
Yeah,
go ahead and let's hear how like kind of your story began.
Well, when I started out, I truly thought that I was gonna go to college for sports. I was always really big on, I loved running, I loved basketball, I loved really any sports. And my biggest goal was I wanted to go to Michigan State. I wanted to get my teaching license. I had goals, but sometimes those goals don't always follow through, or they don't quite work out the way that you think. When I was a junior in high school, I got pregnant and with my firstborn, and just that totally flipped everything around for me. And I don't regret it. Everything was kind of put on hold, or became non-existent for me. And that was a time where I knew that, one, I had to grow up real quick, and two, my needs were no longer a priority, because now my main focus was I had a little human to raise. So the dream career that I wanted was no longer, but I did what I had to do when I first started out as becoming a mom, to make sure that my son was taken care of. And so now I feel like as I've gone on, as an adult and becoming older, now I'm able to to focus more on myself and what I want.
What was that like becoming a parent at such a young age? I mean, I was 23 when I had my first, but being in high school and 17, I mean, what I could only imagine you were on the craziest emotional roller coaster ever. And I guess like when you first found out that you were pregnant, what went through your head? Like what was the first thought? And I think in my head I'd be like, "Oh shit. What are my parents going to say?" Would probably be my first thought, but as an adult, I'm also like, what am I going to do to support this child? So what went through your head when all of this happened?
Honestly, like, before any of that happens, you really think like, oh, if I get pregnant, no, it'll be fine. But it's like the reality of it happens where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. Like, now what? The biggest thing in my mind was the disappointment that I was going to bring my parents. And believe it or not, it was more so my dad. I did not want him to be disappointed in me. And that was probably the first time I saw my dad be truly disappointed in me. That killed me inside. That's for sure.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine. I mean, like I said earlier, I didn't really have a lot of parental guidance, but I think I would have been scared shitless. And I think not as much of what are my parents going to say, but more of like, I'm a kid having a kid, like what do I do from here? How do I even start life? I haven't even graduated from school. What am I supposed to do to make money? How do I provide a home? How do I provide food? How do I provide diapers? I just, that's insane to me.
Well,
and I know obviously you can't help what happened, but the bottom line is it happened, right?
Yeah, luckily, like where you say your parental guidance, I did have two parents that helped me out tremendously when it comes to like the financial aspect of things. I was able to live with my parents, and they were able to help me a lot with my oldest. Even, later down the road when I had my other kids, like my parents were always there for me and my kids. So when I had my firstborn, it was very like, it was one of those like, what am I going to do? But the way my mind works is like, okay, well, there's nothing you can do about it now. So we move forward from this and now figure out what we got to do what we need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you and everybody else who had children young like that are very strong. I mean, you have to be. Man, I'm just struggling trying to figure out even how to put that into my head, what I would have done.
Trust me, it was not easy.
No, I bet it wasn't. But
it was not.
I'm 40 and I'm still a child. Like I feel like I still.
You're gonna be 60 and still a child.
I act, like my mental awareness of life is still. I have fun. I say what I want to say. I do act like an adult. I do get things done. I take care of my family. But at heart, I am a child.
Very true. But aren't most men?
I like to goof around. I like to, I mean, you have to be in the field that I'm choosing in my life, the route I want to go with my life, kind of like what I was saying earlier. I really have to have that mindset of being a creator and have ideas constantly pop up in my head. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Like if I let every single person's words bring me down, The ones that
Yeah.
tell me, "Oh, why are you going to do that? You can't do that. You're not able to do that." If everybody that told me that in my life, if I let that get to me, and if I really held those words in and believed them, I wouldn't be doing this right now. I wouldn't be content creating. I wouldn't be hanging out with people. So, I know having kids and having a family, I have the responsibility and
Yeah.
I take care of my own, but doing it at an age where I'm just not even knowing where in life I was going to be in the next year, let alone the next 20 years, having a child, because,
Yeah.
what, on average, I think a child lives with their parents for about 20 years on average.
Yeah. Today, I don't know, today's day and age, I don't know if they're ever moving out. Nobody
Please
can
let it be
afford-
20. Please. I'm just kidding.
No, nobody can afford.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be tough. I think that,
I think part of it too was like when I decided to move out, and my oldest wasn't even a year old at that point in time, but I was like, I'm 18, I'm moving out, I'm independent, I can do this. And when I did, that's when reality really set in on me that now, like, I had responsibility, because when I was with my parents, I cared for him. I did what I had to do, but I still had like that backup. Like if I needed help, I had that. Whereas when I moved out, it was a totally different ball game. It was so much more, I guess, stress, and um it was just so much more to take on. And so that was a big reality thing, like slap in the face for me too. But looking back at it now, I'm so appreciative of it because it truly helped me grow up in a sense, taking that on.
sure. Well, yeah, you have to. It's
You really don't have an option.
You don't have a choice. You're now responsible for a human being that you've created.
Yeah.
I mean, I give it to you, you know? I,
Thanks.
so, and I mean, when I was in high school, I dated a girl that had a child
Mm-hmm.
and I was not the father, but, like I was, hanging out with the kid and, obviously the kid would go places with us and stuff, but I could goof around and I knew it wasn't fully my responsibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't as big a deal to me.
You could get
But-
up and leave whenever you want.
Right. But I also got a taste of what it would have been like
Yeah.
if it was my kid, because,
Mm-hmm.
with the kid being around, you were limited on what you can do.
Yeah.
So being in your shoes and having to completely reroute your life,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shit, I'm still trying to figure out my life. You know what I mean? I've done well, I've done well. And I think I have really, when I've dedicated myself to what I'm going to do or what I want to do, and I think you've witnessed this firsthand, I'm pretty good about sticking to something and putting in my all,
You are.
I wanted to start a podcast. I have been successful with that podcast. We wanted to do a podcast together. We're doing this. I won Media Master Award at the Cheer Choice Awards this year for my podcast as a podcast host.
Yeah. It was pretty big.
I've, on my TikTok at least, I've blown up. I've gone viral. I've done things and I've created all these different scenarios that a lot of people probably laugh at me about. But you know what? It's not about them. And I had to realize that was really hard for me
Yeah.
to comprehend when I was younger, that all the naysayers are going to be there no matter what. So you really have to just ignore them and not be embarrassed. I did that so much when I first started content creating. I never got into it thinking that I was going to want to pursue it until things started really blowing up. But when I first got on there, I was honestly, in a way, like I would retake different things that I was doing. Like I would reshoot it several times because I was like, oh no, I'll get made fun of for this. No, if this person sees this, they're going to, talk about me. And it really took some time for me to get that shit out of my head and realize who cares?
Yep.
They don't provide for my family. They don't have any. And that was the other thing too. Like if you are bad mouthing me for something that I want to do or a passion that I have, you're not really my friend anyway.
Right.
And I don't need you in my life. So for me, I was able to finally realize that. And that's what made me change my whole perspective on what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. And I wasn't going to let anybody hold me back. I mean, to be completely honest and upfront, I wouldn't even let you hold me back.
I know.
Huh? No, I'm being serious.
No, it's so true. Because there were times where I was like, okay, let's be real. Like
you've laughed at me.
There were times I did. Like
on
this
a few,
is ridiculous.
Yeah, on a few of my videos, you were like, Kevin, really? And I'm like, what? It's funny.
Yeah.
And
it is funny. And then people like it. And I'm like, okay. But, and I don't try to be a naysayer.
No, you're not a naysayer. I've had a lot of naysayers in the past. And it's kind of funny because the people that were naysayers back in the day that told me I would never do anything, I've had people tell me, oh, you'll never be on TV. Oh, you'll never. I've been on TV. I worked on movies. I've worked on TV shows. I was on Pawn Stars, like I not as like a guy selling. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on Pawn Stars Do America. Just saying, the Colorado episode. I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
But I mean, I've done it, and I'm not done. I'm not done. And even at 40 years old, I'm not done. I'm just getting started. I feel like I'm 20. 40 is a new 20. Okay. And that's the way I look at things, why stop? There's no age limit, But anyway, as I was saying, like it was, the people would sit there and they would tell me that I would never do any of those things. You know what I did that very next year after, I'm talking one instance in particular because I was still like, I think I was like 19, maybe 20 at the time. And I was in college, and all those people that told me that I wasn't going to do anything and I was going to be stuck. You know what I did that next year? You want to know what I did?
Moved to Hollywood.
I moved to Hollywood. I packed up my car. I moved to Hollywood with $800 in my pocket and not a place to live.
Yeah, I would not do that.
That's what I did. Because you know what? I was like, I'm doing it. No one's going to tell me no anymore. I did it. And the first week, I was like, oh shit.
My ramen's all gone.
I did. I survived. Okay, let me tell you this story. So in California, their main grocery store, at least in like the Hollywood area, it's called Ralph's. I think it's still there. Ralph's. I had no money. I was completely out because I had just got so I had to pay for gas to get to LA with that $800 I had. I secured a place which cost me, I think, $500 my part because I ended up finding a roommate, my cousin actually, because she lived out there. And my portion when I got there was the $500 down. So I literally had, I think, $50 in my pocket. And this was before I had food, before I had anything else. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I spent that $50 and I got a phone because I didn't have a phone. I got a phone. And so I was down to $5 maybe. So I didn't know what I was going to do for food. I went to Ralph's, and when I walked into Ralph's, it was kind of crazy. this person approaches me, and this is in 2005. So yes, newspapers were still a thing. Yeah, the smartphone hadn't taken over everything yet.
Yeah.
This guy approaches me and he said, "Hey, do you want to sign up for the LA Times newspaper?" And I said, "No, thank you. I'm not really looking to sign up." He's like, "Well, if you sign up today, I give you a $30 gift card right now to spend in the store to pay for your groceries." And then I was just like, "Wait, what?" "Okay, so what do I got to do here?" He said, "You just sign up, put your name, address. It doesn't cost you anything. It won't charge you. You get a free month of the newspaper, and then you can cancel it, and you never have to pay anything." And I said, "So I get this gift card for free, basically, as long as I cancel?" He said, "Yeah, as long as you cancel, you get it for free."
That's crazy.
So I got that $30 gift card, and I bought a shit ton of ramen,
Oh, wow.
eggs, milk, and cheese. And that was it. And I
And
served.
to-
Huh?
Well, I was about to say, and to this day, you still say, well, if we don't have much to eat, y'all can't find anything, put some eggs and ramen and cheese. That's how I survived in Hollywood.
I got so creative with ramen. And
Kids are like, no.
yeah, I got really creative. I mean, I had to. That's what I
Yeah.
had. But I did that for about a week and a half. And then a week and a half until I landed a job, a really good job, like a crazy, I can't believe this happened type of job, like right place, right time. So I was working when I was going to college, and I lived here in Colorado still. I was working at Kodak. I was perforating 35 millimeter film. So after college and I moved to LA, I was looking for a job. I didn't know what I was going to do. I stumbled across a Kodak in Hollywood. And I was like, sweet, maybe because I worked at Kodak, I can get a job here at this Kodak. Well, when I walked in there and I talked to the receptionist, I said, "Here's my resume. I'm looking for a job. I worked at the Kodak in Colorado. Are you guys hiring?" And she said, "Well, this is a different Kodak than what you were doing in Colorado." I said, "Well, I perforated 35 millimeter film, and that's the film they use to shoot movies, right?" She said, "Yeah, but this is an actual production company." I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "That's that Kodak, you know?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Let me take a look at your resume." And she's like, "There is a sister company of ours. They do post-production, which basically what they do is all the movies and TV shows that are filming, the film comes to them and they do all the post-production on it. Everything from transferring the film to disc, color coordination, like the color correction, the sound dubbing, everything. Basically, everything from the film to TV ready." And she's like, "Let me make a phone call and see what I can do." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Really? Okay. Yeah, that'd be great." 5 minutes later, she comes back and she said, "Can you make an interview tomorrow morning at this address?" I said, "Absolutely. I'll do that." And still not knowing what to expect, but it sounded really cool,
Mhm.
And that next morning, I'm getting ready. I walk into this building. The building didn't look fantastic. It was, nothing in LA,
About
and
to
especially
say.
in Hollywood, looks fantastic unless it's on film,
Yeah.
But I walk into this building and the receptionist there, I said, "Hey, I have an interview." "Oh, okay, just wait down the hall. There's a couch. Just go ahead and sit down and someone will come get you shortly." As I'm walking down this hallway, I look to my right and there's this glass case alongside the entire wall of Emmys and Grammys and all these different awards that this company has won from their post production.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh shit, this is real. They're legit." So then the nerves really kicked in. I'm like, okay, now I really got to put my big boy pants on and try to impress these people.
Oh, yeah.
He brings me in. I introduce myself, and there wasn't no interview. It was, so you're from Colorado? Oh, tell me about you. And it wasn't an interview. We were just talking. And then he said, hey, can you start on Monday?
Those are always so comfortable and like they're so, I love interviews like that, or like you think it's an interview and then you go in and it's just so comfortable and laid back because one, it helps settle your nerves and you feel like you're more family than anything.
Yeah, I just wasn't expecting that from something like this, you know?
That's awesome though.
And when I went in that Monday, still not knowing like exactly what to do or how to do it, he's like, you're going to be working with so-and-so. You're going to be working on the 35 millimeter film, the color correction, transferring it to DVD, dubbing the sound. You're going to be doing it all and getting a little taste of it all. And I was like, okay. I'm like, whoa. Well, so I get into it and I'm loving this. I'm loving this new job. My boss, not the one that interviewed me, sorry. This is another guy. The boss for that department comes in. He's like, hey, Kevin. He's like, can you make a run and take these completed DVDs to this studio down the street? I can't remember what the studio name was. I was like, yeah, I could do that. So he also said, when you get there, they're going to tell you some edits they want you to make, and I need you to notate it, and I need you to have it playing so they could show you exactly where to cut. So I said, okay, yeah. I get there, and they're like, oh, right this way. They bring me into this glass room, and I look over, and the clients are sitting there, and it's Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, jeez.
And she's pregnant. This is when she was pregnant with her twins, right? She has twins or triplets? Twins.
Yeah.
She's sitting there and she's pregnant. And I'm like, whoa, hey, hi. And I introduce myself, shake hands. And I won't go into that's a story in itself. But I was like, whoa, I'm working with Jennifer Lopez right now. So that happens. I then get another call sometime down the road. And I'm asked to take this other set to the studio, but this time I wasn't going to be making any cuts or anything like that. It was just taking the finished product to the client. I walk in and I didn't get greeted by a receptionist. I got greeted by Marlon Wayans, and it's Sean and Marlon.
That's so cool.
And they're working on a project, and their studio was down the street from where I was working. And I grew up, I loved Scary Movie. I loved Requiem for a Dream, which that's where I became a fan of Jared Leto. And it was just so surreal to me. Like this, I'm in Hollywood. And then after that, they had me come on their TV show, or it wasn't their TV show. It was an MTV TV show called, I think it was like Movie Night, something like that. But it was for Little Man. So they invited me to the premiere of Little Man, and then I got to interview them on MTV for Little Man. So that's
cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then just one thing after another was happening. I did Jackass #2, and I became friends with like Bam Margera and Ryan Dunn and Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville. I'm hanging out with all these people who I grew up envying. Like they were like, Jackass was still pretty new, but like CKY, I was a skater when I was a teenager, I grew up watching Bam Margera and Ryan Dunn and all these guys. And now all of a sudden I'm working on their movie, and it was just so surreal. And that was the point in my life where I sat back and I said, this is who I want to be. This is what I want to do. That's when I found myself. That's when I found out who Kevin was. Even though life had some different turns and challenges for me, I still always find my way back. I found podcasting. Podcasting wasn't a thing back then, but with today's technology, We can do a podcast right here in our bed. And that's what we're doing.
Which is pretty convenient.
It is. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my story. That's how I got to be where I am today. And there's a lot more to it, obviously. And there were a lot of different directions that I took on this path. But that was the start of it. That was when I knew, okay, I'm here on earth to entertain, to make people smile, to make people go, whoa, that was cool, or whoa, he's good. Because that's what I want to be. I want to be great. I want to, winning that award was a huge accomplishment for me this year. And I didn't think, we went to Vegas and I didn't think I was going to win.
No,
I didn't even prepare a speech because I was going up against people that had millions of followers and had made an impact on social media way beyond anything I have done. And we're sitting there, and I remember we're sitting there and my category comes up and I look at you and I'm like, oh shit, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And they show the top 5 on the big screen on stage. And there I am, my picture. And they go through everybody's names. And he starts opening the envelope. And I'm ready to just stand up and applaud whoever wins, Still not thinking it's me. The whole time we had, our friends came along with us.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time they're like, oh, you're going to win. You got this. You got this. Which was fantastic, I think that was really cool to have the support there.
For sure.
But I also know the friends that we have are going to be supportive no matter what. So, in my head, I'm like, it's all love and I appreciate it. I just don't think I have it. Well, when he opens that envelope and calls my name, it was another one of those moments where I'm just like, oh, I did it.
That's a huge leap.
So yeah, it was crazy. Holding up that award, going up there, not knowing what I was going to say. There's like 1,000 people in the audience. Maybe more. I don't remember how many were there. It was packed.
Yeah.
But just being in front of all these people that have made such an impact on so many lives in this world. And that moment, I knew I was part of that. I think they told me in the back, I had a total of like 6.6 million votes or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, 6.6 million? Like, that many people know who I am? Like, that is crazy to me. Insane, and we're hanging out with friends there like Rise Hendricks, who has become a good buddy of ours. And, that guy has probably over 10 million followers.
Yeah.
So, across all his social medias, but.
Great person too, by the way.
Oh yeah. I love that guy. And Christian McCartney. And, we're surrounded by so many talented and amazing people. By the way, they won in their categories too. So it was kind of,
yep.
It was definitely a trio celebration that night. It was awesome. But I knew they were well deserved of what they were getting and what they were winning. Even after winning, I didn't think I deserved it. And maybe it's because of the talent and the people that were in there. But now I know I am worth it, And I'm sorry, I drugged this on way longer for myself than I wanted to. But I wanted to get across like what made me me. Now I want to, and I want to focus on you now. Mm-hmm. Tell everybody, did you have one of those moments where you were like, kind of like the story I just told, to where you knew there was something that impacted you so much that you knew which direction you wanted to head and you weren't going to let somebody or anybody tell you couldn't do it?
Honestly, not really. other than being a mom. When I became a mom, that is when I was younger, I always wanted to be a mom. Now I'm a mother to 4 beautiful, amazing kids. But that I guess was my life goal, was to be a mom. And now I get to be one to these 4 awesome kids. And I feel like that I've accomplished what I necessarily wanted.
And I agree 100%. You're such an amazing mother. And I do believe that a lot of you being here, your purpose is to be a fantastic mother. And you've surpassed that in my eyes. But I have to disagree with you a little bit when you say not really, because I have watched you grow in anything that you've ended up doing, whether it's something you wanted to do or it just kind of fell into your lap. But you work in insurance.
I do.
And I saw what you can do in the matter of weeks from never picking up an insurance book to study for your exam to get your insurance license.
Yeah.
To passing that test within weeks of receiving this job.
Yeah. I definitely love my job. I love what I do. I did personal lines prior, before we had our daughter Oakley, for a couple of years. And then once we had Oakley, I didn't go to work. I stayed home. I got to be her mama, until kindergarten-ish?
Yeah. No, it was
First grade.
first grade.
But once she went into first grade, I was like, I need something to occupy my time a little bit. I did some work for a little bit, and then was given this opportunity to go back into insurance. Took it, and yes, I did. Over a few weeks, I was able to study and pass my test and got licensed, and I love my job. I feel like there's so much more in my future with this career. I do love it, but we'll see what falls in my lap in the future. But as far as like prior to this, I guess, like, if you know me, truly know me, you know how much I love my kids and how much, like, I would do anything for them. I mean, I do everything for them. So my goal in life is to just take care of my babies, and that's what I do. So
yeah, I think talking about this topic on what made you, like, when did you discover you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when it was for you when you actually discovered it, but I could tell you that what you discovered was partial anyway. This is partially what you discovered, and this is what I've witnessed.
Okay.
Is you discovered that you are meant to be an amazing person all the way around. Because you truly are. You're kind to everybody.
I try.
You don't let anything bother you to the extent to where it ruins your day. If something's said that is negative, you definitely get upset, but you're able to let it go and continue on doing what you need to be the best person you could be.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I try. I honestly do.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what you were meant for, is to spread happiness. And you've supported me since, I'm not going to say day one, I'm going to say day 2. Because day 1, you were kind of like, but day 2, once you saw what I can do, you've supported me. You've let me have countless hours interviewing people, editing, going to different locations, doing different things, and really trying to find my place here. And I appreciate that so much because I honestly don't think I could have stayed in a relationship where I felt like I was being held back.
Yeah,
So,
no, that was something that I guess we spoke about though too, was that I'll support you. And whether it was podcasting or, jobs or anything, like that's one thing that we're really good at is talking about things and like, okay, well, I trust you. If you think this is what we should do, or if this is truly something you want to do, then do it. And then, I take on the brunt of at home, which I don't mind doing. I mean, I just said, like, I love being a mom. So I take on most of everything at home with the kids. And, you do what you need to do to go towards your goal as far as the, interviewing people or your other podcast or whatever you need to do. But I know that if I were to have a goal, like outside of being a mom or whatever, you would jump on that right away too. Like
100%.
by helping me. Like, so it's not just me supporting you. It goes both ways. And it's happened that you've done that for me before. So it's not just, I don't want viewers to think like, oh, she sits back and watches the kids and lets him do his thing. Cause that's not the case at all. It's, you have more goals, I guess, than I do. I truly enjoy being home with the kids. I truly do. And so he loves our kids, but at the same time, he loves his more the podcasting and
creating. I love
there
creating.
you go, creating. And so, yeah, go do that. That's totally fine. I'll handle everything else and I don't mind. But when I have something come up and I'm like, hey, I want to do this. And then it'll be, okay, go do your thing. And
Absolutely.
He takes over. So it's really nice to have that with each other.
Yeah, it's definitely a good partnership.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely have to have that. And I think that's key to any relationship. If you can't support each other, then either you're going to be stuck in a miserable relationship.
Yeah.
Or when it is your time and you're laying in your bed and you're going on to whatever's next after life, you're going to sit back and say you regret not doing something. And that's something we have always been big on with each other when talking. It's like, I don't want to ever regret not doing something that, or at least trying to do something that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's
huge.
You only live once. And I love that saying. And it's so popular and everybody says it. It's cliche, I guess, but it's so true. At least to our knowledge, we only live once, And
I'm sorry, but the older we get, it hits harder.
Yeah, it's true.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It truly does. So.
Well, awesome. I'm really happy that we got to share this with you guys. And
yeah,
I know I kind of took over for a while there, so I apologize, but I get really excited when I talk about these things.
He really, really does.
I have so many ideas and so many things that I want to accomplish in my life. So this won't be the only time that I take over and tell you some new up and coming things.
That's okay.
Yeah. Also, before we let you guys go, in the next couple of weeks, I've been working on a website. We're going to have some merch. As you can see, we got this new cool logo, keychains, and some t-shirts and stuff like that. We haven't decided what exactly all the proceeds are going to go to. Like, I would like to maybe donate to some charities or do something, but more to come on that. But yes, if you do want some cool merch, I will let everybody know when the website's up and going, and you can go on and purchase them there.
Yeah, so, perfect.
Anything else?
I don't think so. No.
All right. Until next week, guys, we will see you.
Bye.
Bye now.
Between our sheets.